Hey kids, it's Jurassic James, and on this Jurassic James Explains, we're looking at Gallimimus. Now, Gallimimus was first discovered in 1963 in the Gobi Desert, which is in Mongolia. It wasn't described in 1972, and it's a big point because people think that we find a fossil and it's already like in the public eye. No, it's many years between discovery, digging it out, prepping it, writing it up, and presenting it to the public. So actually, it's like that was almost 10 years, 9 years actually. So Gallimimus is actually a very obscure dinosaur until 1993 with Jurassic Park. One of the things that sold Steven Spielberg on the idea of using CGI was an animation of a flock of Gallimimus running through a field actually and being chased by the T-Rex, which we saw in the movie to some degree. Now, the first thing to point out with Gallimimus is that my earliest Gallimimus is this guy right here. It's one of those little Jurassic Park figure ones that came in a little site, like a pack. The Jurassic Park 1, I think 2, both had a larger Gallimimus figure that made noise. Those things were super rare and now super expensive. So if you want to help Jurassic James, send me one. Love it as a gift. But until then, I have these, right? So again, overall, what's really cool about Gallimimus is that it is a theropod. It's an predatory dinosaur branch. But overall, they look like ostriches. I mean, if you think of, I mean, you saw the movie probably. Imagine an ostrich with a long tail and claws. We now know feathers, but that's for later on. So these guys, their skulls are like this big. They're really tiny, tiny skulls, and their eyes are on the side of their head, which is a very non-predatory look for them, basically. And actually, whenever I see them in the movie, I'm always laughing. They kind of like have this like pelican, kind of like look to them. Anyway, it's a cool animal though, and they're really fast. So this one's my first one. It has 3 fingers, 3 toes, no dew claw. It's missing those major points. The tail seems too short to me, but overall, you know who it is, and it has a JP on it, so you know it's official. It's not extinct. And a company called KB Toys. There was this company here. These were made, these larger form dinosaurs that were hollow. So I was super excited as a kid to find these because, bigger figures are always great. But also the problem is that if they're under any heat and pressure, they will warp and reform. So I only have like four of these. But the idea is that this guy hits the main point that it has, the beak-like structure. So in life, it would have possibly had an actual beak over it. In 2001, I believe, there was a discovery of one of the internal soft parts in the mouth have been fossilized, and it shows like a filtering system kind of. So the big question is, what do they eat? And the answer is we officially don't know. I mean, they are theropods, but they're closer to the branch of like the dinosaurs. They're of the theropods that have most likely been omnivores. If they did eat any meat, it would have been like lizards and small things. They don't have huge jaws for crushing or stretching out like a snake. So we don't see them eating large prey. And at the time they lived, like Cretaceous, Asia, 70 million years ago, there would have been like early fruit, berries, those kind of things too, maybe roots. But again, we don't know for sure. We don't know what they actually eat to date. Now, one thing to point out too: three fingered hands, relatively long tail, like this actual model, very elongated. One thing to point out is that this group in general are considered the fastest dinosaurs. What I'm saying is, you know, first of all, how do you know that, right? So in general, we're looking at it. I mean, if you see longer legs, that implies speed. But the 2 ways to tell dinosaur speed that I'm aware of are: one, measure footprints. If you find 3 or 4 tracks in a row, you can measure them and calculate how tall the animal is, how fast it can run. Unfortunately, we don't find dinosaurs running full speed. There's no full speed set of tracks. It's only walking or briskly walking. Only a few exceptions, but not of these guys. Also, want to point out the length of the legs. So, like modern birds, we have the femur here, the tibia and fibula here, and fused, metatarsals and phalanges. So this whole part right here is the actual whole foot. So dinosaurs walk on their toes, which is called digitigrade. You being a primate, assuming you're human, you're walking plantigrade with your heels down, right? Your tarsals down. So one thing to point out with this is that if you see a shorter femur and a longer tibia, that usually implies in bipeds or 2-legged animals that you're a fast runner. Ostriches, raptors have short legs. Now I say fast runner, we don't know how fast. There's no way of telling, but we know they're faster than everything else in their environment by comparison, looking at the features there. So, and by humans, adult humans, and tyrannosaurs, we have longer femurs, so we're probably walkers, long distance walkers. So the idea here is a very fast animal, very neat animal here. Then came Jurassic World and their toy line. The first one didn't do Gallimimus. The Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom did, and I think I have all of them so far. The first one came out was a smaller pack of like $7, and like I said, it's not my favorite because it can fall over very easily. But again, it had the tiny head with the eyes on both sides, has 3 fingers. The Jurassic Park thing is like a wrist like this. They're kind of correcting it a little bit, but not quite there. Long metatarsal, short tail, of course, but it all the marks. The next one they came out with was I think the higher price point, like $10, and it has like the dino damage there, which is if you're recreating the scene where the T-Rex attacks a flock and then bites one and kills one, this is the one. Fun fact, if you didn't know, the sound of the Tyrannosaurus like ripping apart the Gallimimus was one of the animators like dog tearing apart a chew toy. But again, 3 fingers in the front. The feet are made too big because it's more along the lines of engineering for the toy to stand up properly. They would have had more like bird-like feet, definitely. And of course, this guy here has like the little running action like that, which is kind of cool. But again, the eyes are out to the side. Those are traits we see in prey animals, not predatory. Because when you're predatory, you need to focus in, and the idea is that you need to, you usually you look out of one eye, and your other eye is there to help judge death, basically, death perception. And so predators need to know how far away their prey is, and if your eyes are on the side, you're usually an herbivore like a cow or something or a horse, and you see as far as possible seeing what predators are attacking you. And this guy has eyes like that, so it implies most likely an omnivorous lifestyle if very few eating things. My newest figure, of course, is this one here. Cretaceous came out and had my official Jurassic James unboxing figures from GrinFest. So this seemed like super uneventful, but just cut there, up, and cut there, and it's free. It has the same color pattern as my one from KB Toys. Basically, you're just doing that. So it's not even running anymore. Oh, that may not be on purpose. Let's see. Anything else? That's just it. Yeah, so the head just does this. Like it looks the heavy metal, Anyway, that's neat. The tail is way too small. Again, I get it that if it's in the package, the tail can't be too long because it can't be shipped in groups and all that. But, the feet, that's why the feet are made bigger to balance it off like that. But anyway, so here's Gallimimus in a nutshell. So who are his relatives? What are their family members, right? Well, the first thing to point out is a group are called Ornithomimosaur. So ornithomimic means bird mimic because, that could be said of all dinosaurs for the most part, but for this particular group, Gallimimus itself, the name Gallimimus means chicken mimic because the features in the neck and head remind the scientists of chickens. So Gallimimus, like Galliforms, that's the group chickens fall into. Another member of this group is Struthiomimus, meaning ostrich mimic, which is the best name for all of these guys because ostriches, they look like ostriches. New evidence suggests they at least have feathers on the back of their arm. There's no doubt they had them all over their body, but we know for sure, like right there, based on some studies. There's one called Ornithomimimus, and here's an earlier toy from like the 90s or 80s, so it's not super scientifically accurate, but it's the same body plan, right? You're seeing the same parts. So this is their group. Now, for the most part, within this group and the other few, like Harpyomimus, Pelicomimus, other relatives throughout the world, Gallimimus is the larger of these smaller ones. There's a new member, or not really a new member, a newly recognized relation in this group called Dinocyrus, which we've known about Dinocyrus for a long time. And these guys should be in their own video. They're really cool. This seems to have a hump on its back, these giant arms, and they fall into this group too. So up till they realized that these were ornithomimids, Gallimimus was the largest member of their lineage. Now we know that they are, so therefore they're the largest member of the lineage. But the Ornithomimosaurs, or the Ornithomimids, or Ornithosaurs, group name, are these guys here, and they're most likely omnivorous sauropods, right? As far as ecology goes, who does it live with, right? Oh, sorry. Who does it live with? Well, 70 million years ago, velociraptors are extinct in Asia. Because I know you think Velociraptor mongoliensis, Gallimimus from Mongolia, they're both Jurassic Park. That's not technically logic, but I get what you're going with. By this time, Velociraptor itself extinct in Mongolia, but I'll use one of the. I'll use my new guy. So who does it live with? Well, one animal we know for sure it live with is this guy here called Tarbosaurus, seen in Jurassic World form and the general figure. Tarbosaurus is the Tyrannosaurus Rex's one of his closest relatives, but it's in Asia. The difference between it and T-Rex, they're so close in relation to each other that they initially were thought to be Tyrannosaurus, like a different species of Rex, but then they get their own name in its own separate story. But they're usually more slender features in general than T-Rex. Another Tyrannosaur cousin living in the environment, let's see, is Gallimimus, which is this guy here. He's a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World version. Here's the non-Jurassic World version. So these are their relatives. There's more than one Tyrannosaur in the environment. They are duckbills. Ducky, Land Before Time. Her species is called Saurolophus. So you've seen Parasaurolophus with a huge crest. They have a smaller crest, hence the name. And they also live with Therizinosaurus, which I already did a video on Therizinosaurus, so that they're also contemporaries in the same time and period. And there's like a couple titanosaurs known. But as far as other relatives in the area, these species are not from there. Like we have Velociraptor, Oviraptor, and Troodon. These guys did not live at the same time and place, but there was a raptor, Oviraptor, and Troodontic relative in the environment. So that's Mongolia at the end towards the Cretaceous. So around the same time, you have T-Rex and Triceratops and Allosaurus in North America. We have these guys in Asia. So this, we're seeing parallel ecologies there. With that being said, that is Gallimimus in a nutshell. It's a really cool animal, underappreciated. I think they're neat. They're really fun. And that scene in Jurassic Park when they first show them to the world, really, that Tim, what are those? And he's like, Gallimimus, and then he's like a bird evading a predator, and then looks like they're flocking this way. That kind of realism amongst the paleo people. That was a really cool introduction to this animal in pop culture. So now it's kind of with us for a while. So that's Gallimimus in a nutshell. And like I said, if you know where I can find one that's cheaper than Jurassic Park 1, tell me please. Thank you. That being said, Jurassic James is out.